my friend, this is Elizabeth and welcome to Sube la Vibra. Today our special guest is Dr. Sue Morter. Dr. Sue, welcome to Sube la Vibra and thank you very much for being here with us in Sube la Vibra.
Oh, absolutely. It's my pleasure to be here. I look forward to seeing what we get to talk about today.
Dr. Sue, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Certainly. I grew up in an environment of natural health care. Quantum science was our regular dinner table conversation. I've never gone to the doctor and taken an antibiotic for some ailment. I know that the body has the ability to heal itself. And so I've been living those principles all my life. In my early, about 20 years ago, I had an experience with meditation that allowed me to awaken to a much higher state of consciousness, which I didn't have any idea existed prior to the experiences that I was having. I had no reference points to really understand what was happening with me. And I turned the next 10 years of my life into a laboratory, a living laboratory to really figure out what had happened and how could I return to those states and what was I supposed to benefit from them. And a byproduct of that is I healed a scoliosis in my body. I healed migraine headaches as a pattern that I was experiencing. And a larger, bigger picture byproduct of all of it has been that a deep sense of anxiousness and horrific intimidation in life. As I grew up as a kid, very, very intimidated and prohibitively shy. I'm now living an entirely different kind of life, having every week of my life being filled with audiences, speaking to 90,000 people live or hundreds of thousands of people live on now on the internet, but having an opportunity to share our ability to self-heal and our ability to awaken to a greater purpose and a greater sense of who we are has been so transformational in my life that I have devoted my life to teaching other people how to do the same, really to open to embracing fears and transforming them into passionate purpose and power in our lives is really what I'm very interested in doing. So I look forward to seeing how that's applicable in our conversation today. And I'm happy to delve in more specifically in any of those arenas. But that's me in a nutshell.
That's awesome. Wow, that is very interesting. In your book, The Energy Code, in the first chapter, you say that we are energy. For some of our audience, they are aware of that. They are very familiar with this concept. But for those that are not familiar, can you explain that, please?
Certainly. Now, science is showing us that everything is energy. It's just energy. And that's something we never really thought about in our lives. We thought there's this thing called energy and then there's us. And so what science is showing us is that even all physical matter is just energy compressed. When you take energy and you start compacting it, it eventually generates physical form. So anything that we pick up, an item that we see, is actually just compressed energy. So if you unpack it, pulling the molecules apart and pulling the atoms apart, that there's empty space in between, and that empty space is this energy that we're referencing. If you were to decompress the physical human system, it would just become this unified field of energy. So it's kind of a mind bender for us to think in those terms. But and the benefit of thinking in those terms is this, that if everything is energy and energy is just vibrating at different frequencies, we can change our life experience by changing the vibrational frequencies that we dial our minds into, and it changes the movie that we're walking around inside of. It changes our come from, it changes our perspective on life, it changes everything. It allows us to heal, it allows us to flow in an energetic stream the way we're supposed to be flowing. And I think that's something that really is relevant to the conversations that we're likely to get into today, is that this energy that we are is supposed to be flowing and moving inside our bodies. And if it's moving inside of our bodies, it also moves in our lives. And when it moves in our bodies and in our lives, things heal and they change and they evolve and they grow. And if it gets blocked or stuck, then we don't heal and we start to implode and we start to toxify and become ill, or we become weak, or we become stagnant in different ways of thinking. We become locked into our belief patterns and kind of shut ourselves into boxes. And so what I'm really interested in people learning how to do is how to move the energy in their bodies so that they can start to move the energy in their lives. And a byproduct of that is that we heal on every level, emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. We reconnect with the truth of who we are, and everything begins to change under those circumstances.
That's awesome. What does quantum physics tell us?
Well, quantum physics is showing us that we find what we're looking for. That basically, when we perceive something, it is a reflection of our intention. So it's kind of a bizarre combination of references that if I'm looking to belong, I belong. If I'm looking to validate the fact that I believe that I don't belong, I won't belong. It will reflect back to me in accordance with what I'm looking for. So it's basically our come from that is determining our reality. So on a scientific level, science is showing us that we have the ability to change our own DNA's expression in the world. Therefore, we aren't subject to our genetic inheritance. We rather can change what is going to express through this system. And a byproduct of that is that we have an effect on our reality. Science is also showing us that the human DNA has an impact on the physical environment. So the physical environment rearranges in accordance to what we are emanating out there. So we're emanating and radiating an energy field, and that energy field is causing the world to arrange itself in accordance with what's going on inside of us. So it's very important and vital that we maintain a disposition of possibility and hope and joy and delight and curiosity and appreciation and gratitude, because these vibrational frequencies translate to cellular function that is self-healing and self-regulating and producing an immune response or an ability to transmute energies from one frequency to another. We become empowered or not based upon our come from. But we're so used to saying, I'm happy because that happened. And what science is showing us is that that happened because you were happy. And it's the reverse. And it's frighteningly empowering to us, because we like to blame our state on our external circumstances. And the world, the universe, the cosmos, everything is pressing us into a different understanding of who we are and what this life experience is all about.
So that means that we cannot be victims.
The era of victimhood is, its days are numbered, because science is basically showing us you don't get to do that. You know, you can, but you'll collapse inside of that reality. You will not be able to survive. You won't be able to sustain yourself. And science is proving that we're in charge of our own health, our vitality, our relationships, our emotional states, that we're in charge by free will choice to determine what gets to happen in here. Now the important piece is to realize that if I'm feeling angst, or if I'm feeling frustration, or if I'm feeling fear, it's incredibly important that I validate and allow those feelings to come up. But what we do with those feelings has to change. What we've been doing with those feelings is deciding that they then get to determine if I lash out, or if I retreat, or if I just give up, or whatever the case may be. And we're just at a place where that's not enough. It's not enough to just be knee-jerk reacting to the world. We're supposed to take that energy and honor it, but route it into something productive and turn it into something that empowers us, rather than sets us apart or suppresses us or causes us to withdraw in some way.
That is awesome. You just answered one of my questions. So that so what about our thinking, emotion, feeling, and words? Are we creating the reality with that?
100%. Only 100%. Only all of it. Just
Yeah.
just that amount, because we're made of creative energy. We are creative energy packed into a body, packed into a person. And so that creative energy is expressing out through our thoughts and our feelings and our words and our actions. We are here to observe ourselves behaving in this world in a certain way. And what we do is not that. We behave, we observe how other people are behaving. We observe what the outer world is doing, rather than realizing that this whole thing is set up for me to observe how I am being and alter it and shift it and embrace it, or be compassionate with it, or love into it, instead of deflecting it onto some story that we're writing in this movie that we're walking in. We're basically walking through a 3D movie.
Yeah.
And we have to realize that that 3D movie is an opportunity for us to get feedback on how we're doing at being self-loving and self-compassionate and self-honoring, and allowing the true creative self to have a life, rather than suppressing it into a box and thinking that we can only react to what's going on in the outer world, when science is showing us that the outer world is a reflection of what's going on inside of you. So if you're only ever reacting to what's going on in the outer world, and the outer world is only presenting to you how you're reacting, you can see how it just becomes this cycle. And that's why people feel stuck. It's why people feel like, I'm doing the same old thing again and again and again, year after year. All of that is because we're not really gleaning from our experiences what our experiences are trying to reveal to us. It's not happening because we haven't been taught how to use our faculties, use our resources, and use our mind and our body and our breath in a way that we can benefit from the feedback that we're getting, and alter how we're actioning and how we're managing our energies internally. And as we alter those internal energies, we change our lives. For instance, if someone right now feels frustrated because things are changing in the world rapidly, there's a lot going on that wasn't happening 2 months ago, and it's happening so quickly, people cannot not notice, wow, life is really different today than it was 6 months ago. So in that moment, if we just get afraid and blame it on the world and get angry and lash out, or get fearful and collapse, we're not really benefiting from this life experience the way we could be. Instead, if we would realize that these circumstances that are happening are bringing up fear inside of me, I need to come present to that fear and see what it's about, because we're made of everything. We're made of the entire cosmos. There's nothing to be afraid of. We're going to exist forever. We've always been existing. You know, spirituality has been teaching us you're an eternal being. And science is now saying you're made of energy. And science also says energy cannot be created or destroyed. It's only just rearranged or vibrating in different frequencies, but it exists all the time. We are that energy. We will exist all the time. What we're in a panic, freaking out about, am I going to be okay? Am I going to be safe? And it's all because we've been externally oriented and believing that the outer world is in charge. And it isn't in charge of my internal experience. It isn't in charge of who I am. You know, if a gentleman can be released from prison after having been imprisoned for 30 years or for 17 years or for 45 years, different cases we know of, where they imprisoned for a crime they didn't even commit, be abused inside of prison, come out of prison released, saying they were grateful for their experience because they learned that all kinds of things could be taken away, all kinds of material objects, all kinds of human conveniences, all kinds of freedoms and liberties that are extracted from our life experience the moment we're imprisoned. And they come out and say, what I learned is that you can take everything, but you can't take my soul. You can't have that. You can't have the real me. There's a me that nothing can touch. And every time we're in moments such as this in life, we're given the opportunity to gracefully, gingerly, tenderly explore such a reality without it, having to be catastrophic. We can step into the realization that, at any moment things could change rapidly. I need to make sure that I'm in touch with the one that is always okay. I need to know that one. I need to get my mind to know and to learn about that version of me. Because when my mind finds that version of me, everything changes. I can operate with grace and ease, even though my circumstances are rapidly changing. I can operate in confidence and knowingness that everything's going to be fine, even though it looks like, things are dwindling and things are shutting down and people are changing radically. It's an important and valuable time right now for us to be awake to the fact that we are energy beings, we are eternal beings, and we're going to be fine. Because if we can maintain that sense of okayness, we maintain our immunity. When we jump into panic, we decline our immunity, we depress our chemistry, we short circuit our nervous systems and our electromagnetic energy systems that are quantumly trying to rejuvenate and replenish us all the time. We can shut that down with any amount of fear that we choose to plug into. And when we think we have no choice but to be afraid, we get afraid. But the truth is, we're at complete choice. We're at choice of how we're spending every moment, every day. And this is a beautiful realization for humanity to come to. And it is my hope that humanity can come to these realizations rapidly, quickly, now, so that we can be a stabilizing, unwavering, beneficial presence on the planet rather than contributing to chaos and panic and those types of things.
Yes, with the actual situation that is happening right now, with all the information that we are receiving from the media, from our environment, what can we do to don't feel panic and to feel safe and to feel more centered?
Yes. One of the main things that we can do is we first have to realize that our minds are used to operating on their own. They're used to being this dependent thing that makes all these decisions and draws all these conclusions and makes these smart decisions and goes for it. And the problem with that is the mind is only a part of who we are. And when the going gets unpredictable, the mind, who's used to running on analysis and logic and predictability in order for it to feel stable, now doesn't have those crutches to lean on. And it's experiencing itself in this buoyant reality where it doesn't know what to grab onto. So what I've been teaching people for 20 years is that we have to get the mind to tether itself, to anchor itself to the body, so that mind and body and breath can work together, or mind and body and spirit can work together again, the way they were supposed to be working all the time. But we had the liberty of not having to take a look at that. And so people were out there thinking they were doing the right thing, but they were also encountering great degrees of stress and great degrees of unfulfillment and lack of satisfaction, or lack of feeling a life purpose, or lack of healing in the physical body. All kinds of strains and issues were existing. That's why I wrote the book that I wrote, was like, hey, wait a minute, people, there's something we can do here. And it helps tremendously, instantaneously, if we train the mind how to tether onto the body. Because when the mind comes onto the body, the mind slows down. Instead of it running like this rapid moving ceiling fan that's spinning so fast, coming up with ideas and conclusions and drawing to knee-jerk reactions and all of that kind of stuff, it's like, stop. We have to stop living that way. And the body, it operates in this other kind of motion. And the essential soulful self, this other kind of frequency, even more so. It's this well-being. And here's this mind doing this, and you can see that they're not even part of the same reality. unless we slow the mind down so that they can get in tandem with each other, and we can experience ourselves in a version of ourselves greater than the mind, bigger than the mind. So then the mind will calm down. When the mind knows that it's part of something bigger than itself, it calms down. That's why we all want to belong to something. We all want to serve. We want to make a difference. We want to be a part of something that matters. The mind wants to be a part of something bigger than itself. And so when we're identified as the mind, we're always looking for something to contribute or something to belong to, or a connectedness, or being accepted by others, etc. And there's a way to get that sensation happening in our lives that is not so dramatic. There's a way to get that happening that is unconditional. There's a way to get that sensation of well-being regularly occurring in our lives that doesn't require anybody else deciding anything else for us, but rather get the mind to come onto the body and pay attention to what's going on inside. And if we start breathing slowly and breathing lowly in our belly, it also slows down the mind. When you slow your breath, you slow down the mind. And when you slow the breath and slow the mind, the next thing you know, mind and body and breath can come together, because the mind has been operating too fast to connect with the body and the breath that are operating over here. When we slow that mind down and they all start working together, we pick up enough momentum that we can transform all kinds of things. We can pierce through the veils of our own compartmentalization of our minds. We can unpack old beliefs and dissolve them. We can come present to the fact that we're actually more okay than we were thinking that we were in any given moment. So there are many things that we can do. We can learn to breathe more slowly. We can learn to breathe in the belly. We can anchor ourselves in the body instead of letting ourselves just run up here in our heads and outside of our bodies. We can learn how to draw ourselves down into this body in such a way that we feel a sense of well-being immediately. I'm happy to share some practices that we could all do together to have a sense of what I'm talking about. Sometimes that helps generate an understanding more instantaneously if we can just have the experience of that, if we get a chance to do that today.
Yes, please. I will love it. That means that we are more powerful than we were told.
So we have to learn how to, I'm just going to turn something off here so it doesn't interrupt us. Okay, there we go. We have to learn how to come present to ourselves any minute. So, and do it so often that we kind of are never not connected in that way. It needs to be a new come from, not just something we go to when we're nervous or when we're upset, but rather something that we live as, and that we continuously speak from this place and action from this place and sit in this place. And one of the ways that we can begin to do that is just learn to breathe in your belly instead of your upper chest. So I'm going to take a deep breath the wrong way right now. We don't want to do it like this. It's not like that. We're supposed to not breathe here, but breathe low in the belly. So when I take a deep breath into my belly, my chest isn't moving at all. That stimulates the nervous system that all is well. It calms you down. It slows things down, stretches them out. And as that happens, we are able to have a sense of well-being. Automatically, the subconscious begins to pick up on, oh, okay, we're okay. Let's start healing and filtering and cleansing and detoxifying the body rather than looking for a bear or running or hiding or fighting. And so that alone is so simple. Breathe in your belly all the time. Breathe in your belly all the time. Another thing that we can do is start to organize the energy that gets so chaotic in our energy field from all the worrying and all the fretting and all the story writing and all of the imagining, the worst case scenarios and all of that. We get chaotic in our energy And we have to bring some organization to that energy and let it flow in such a fashion that it can deal with one thing at a time and process it in a manner that works for us, instead of trying to make sense out of all the possibilities at one time. It's so important to anchor in this way. And so I think I have an image here. I do. That I teach some online courses, so I have some little images here that I think will be helpful for us. That basically the energy is supposed to run down through your body and hit the earth and come back up and come out and cycle around and around and around, cycle around and around like this, and constantly be replenished and rejuvenating and constantly rising up through us. And what happens is it rises up through us, and we have all kinds of issues that are unresolved, and the energy has to go around all those unresolved issues, and it picks up a wobble and a distortion. And you can see how this energy field is all distorted here. Inside this distorted energy field, this person is not going to be able to be healthy. They're not going to be able to be strong and robustly rejuvenating themselves. And they're also going to perceive life very differently than it actually is. They're going to imagine worst case scenario all the time. They're going to think that it's not good, or I'm not in harmony, or something's out of order, or something's wrong. And then they start writing stories about what it could be that's wrong. Well, I bet it's that, or I bet it's this, or I bet it's that. And it's just, it gets out of control really quickly. So we want to stop all that. And the way to do that is to start to learn to breathe up and down through this central channel of the body. When we're breathing up and down through the central channel, I think I have another image here that can help us. When we're breathing up and down this whole central channel, we start to organize the energy flow. So there are some ways to do that. We can start to anchor ourselves in the body instead of letting our awareness to come up here into our head and out here and into the chaos. If we anchor ourselves, we stay very stable and very present and very clear. And that's what we have to do. So I'm going to just share some anchor points. Right here is an anchor point where we can anchor at the base of our spine. And right here is right at the heart level, where we can anchor with our shoulder blades by pulling them together and down. And I'm going to teach us how to do this. And there's another one in the throat and another one in the center of the brain. This one's easy to do as well, where we can just roll our eyes up for a second, and you can feel the tension behind your eyes just by rolling your eyes up. When you do that, there's tension behind your eyes. That's that anchor point in the center of the brain that we're looking for. So I'm going to teach these 3 anchor points so that people can get down in their body, because the moment you get in your body, your mind stops writing all that story stuff. It just comes present. And when we can stay present, we're actually a lot smarter than we think we are. We're actually more wise, and we actually feel more okay than we did just a moment ago. So we just have to learn some simple things that we can do to land in this body and feel safe and feel connected again. Your body is the earth version of you. We know how good it feels when you can walk in nature, when you can take a walk in the park, or you can see the trees or feel them, or be barefoot in the grass. We know how good that feels. And we want to be able to have that felt sensation all the time. We want to have it consistently. And the body will do that same thing for us, but we don't live in our bodies. Most of the time, we just live in our heads. And there is, I can show you how living in your head actually pulls you so outside of your body. Here's your physical body. And these layers are layers of the energy field. And the red one right there, the third one out, is the mental body. So when we start overthinking, it pulls all of our energy out of our body and out here into this energy field outside of the body. So when we're not in our bodies, we feel very wobbly and very uncertain and very ungrounded, because we are. So these are practices to get you, boom, back in your body, okay? So the first one I'm going to teach is at the heart level. If you squeeze your shoulder blades together and pull them down, just pull them together and pull them down, it automatically anchors your heart and it anchors your consciousness in your heart space. It makes you aware inside your body of that space. And that particular space brings with it all kinds of energy frequencies of compassion and forgiveness and availability and love and tenderness and kindness, forgiveness, some amazing things, okay? So good ones to be plugging into, all right? Now, when we do that, now just relax the shoulder blades for a moment, because I'm going to teach you another one. I'm going to teach you the one that's down here. This one is the big one for people, because people are so used to living up here in their heads that they don't live down here at all, okay? So this is the big thing that I find people just freaking out about. So when we get them to activate this one here at the tip of the spine, they start calming down immediately. Immediately. Someone can be having a panic attack, and if they know how to do this, they'll stop it instantly. It stops it, because you can't be in a panic and also be in your deep grounded wisdom. And that's what this is. It's about your deep grounded wisdom. So I don't know about you, but I'm going to choose deep grounded wisdom over panic every day, right? It's a good choice, right? I'm going to pick deep grounded wisdom. Let me think about it. Yep, deep grounded wisdom. That's what I want. So let's do that. So here, it's kind of a weird thing how to learn how to do it, but just imagine that you're going to the bathroom and you have to stop the stream instantly. You have to squeeze certain muscles to do that, okay? You squeeze those muscles right now. Squeeze them like with everything you've got. Just squeeze them and then relax it by about 1/2. And right there, that amount of muscle contraction is all that is needed. And here's what happens. It takes this energy and pulls it right down to the base of your spine. We want to pull it down to the base of your spine so that the base of your spine is anchoring your consciousness. And now take a breath in your belly while you're holding those muscles, okay? So you're holding these muscles, and now you're gonna breathe in your belly, not in your chest, but down in your belly. Breathe low in your belly, below your belly button. And sometimes people will say, well, wait a second. I'm trying to squeeze these muscles and then I'm trying to breathe in that same area. What are you talking about? I can't do both. And I say, au contraire. Yes, you can. You can do both. You can do both. I've been teaching thousands and thousands and thousands of people how to do this for years and years and years. And at first, the majority of them say, I can't do that. And within a day or two, they're like, I got this. So just know that it will come. But here's the benefit. The benefit of squeezing those muscles and breathing against them creates a sense of resistance in there. And we want to be able to feel that sense of resistance. Because if you can feel that sense of resistance, the subconscious says, oh, there I am. There I am. I know who I am now. I got it. I'm grounded. I'm right here. I'm okay. The subconscious will do that immediately. And that's what we want. We want it to be able to land easily. So we want our awareness to have a place to live that feels safe and connected. And inside the body, your consciousness will feel that way. If you don't climb inside your body, your mind is going to remain freaked out and constantly look to the outer world for some sense of safety. And so here's what ironically happens is that when we don't feel that sense of resistance inside the base of our own system, we go out into the world and create resistance. We get into fights with people. We have antagonistic reactions to circumstances and situations. We create resistance in the outer world, and it's no fun. It doesn't lead to anything enjoyable. And what I'm trying to share right now is that the reason that we do that is that we're trying to figure out who we are. You know, if you've ever been in an argument with someone or a debate, and you say, well, here's how I feel. And they say, well, no, here's how I feel. And then you say, I understand that. And here's how I feel. And we start understanding ourselves because of the interactions that we're having with others. That same understanding is available to us. And the felt sensation that we would have if we did understand ourselves is available to us all the time. We can have that feeling anytime. Mula Bandha is what it's called. This is called Mula Bandha. Okay, it's because of Mula Dara is the root chakra from the East. This is an ancient Eastern practice that that meditators would anchor in their body so that they could ground in the body and let their minds open up, let their minds unfold and open up and expand into the cosmos and access universal wisdom and intelligence. And so this mula bandha is a way to stay in the body and receive all this benefit, because what many people do is they meditate and they go out of their body and then they come back in their body and live their lives, and they're still facing the same stresses. But if you stay here and expand your awareness, you now have a new understanding about everything that you're encountering. So you embody the benefits of meditation as well. So, but for practical purposes, it will stop your stress in an instant.
And what I love about the books, these books, you have in every chapter, you explain the chakras, how each area is affected in the real life, in our life. And what we do also, you explain the challenges that we have when we are doing this exercise. Is, for me, it's like a guide, really a book, a guide that I have to read to understand very well, to also to do the exercise. As you say, the mula bandha at the beginning was really difficult. Right now is, like sometimes I'm walking and I'm doing the mula bandha.
Yes, it comes more naturally the more we do it. And actually, we don't have to keep it contracted all the time. It's a way of learning where I'm supposed to keep my consciousness, how I'm supposed to be living inside of my body. When I contract mula bandha and I squeeze the shoulder blades down, so let's all contract the mula bandha and squeeze your shoulder blades together and drop them down. And now roll your eyes up and feel the tension behind your eyes. And imagine that there's a string, a line connecting behind your eyes, right into the shoulder blades, right into the mula bandha at the tip of the spine. Right inside that channel, you can kind of feel yourself as if you're inside of an elevator shaft, right inside this body. When we can sense and feel ourselves in there, we know that we're animating, we're going to breathe some life into the true essential self, rather than living from this externalized protective personality self. And so as we learn how to be in there, we don't have to keep these things contracted all the time, but we have to contract them so that we can find ourselves in there. Then you can release them if you can stay in there. But if you get upset, you're going to get dispersed again out here in the world. So you want to contract them again to pull yourself right back in, and then start breathing in your belly. Then you can relax them, but make sure that you're learning what it feels like to be in your body, so that you know in an instant when you're not in your body, and you can do something about it, because it's bad news when you're not in your body. Nothing good comes from not being in your body. It's all downhill from there. All of it. We get freaked out. We start writing stories. We get mad. We say things we don't mean. It's just crazy. And it's so amazing that so much of our culture is living outside of the body. It's why we freak out in mass. It's why everybody, gets afraid. It's why everyone is less healthy than they could be, because we're not nurturing and nourishing ourselves the way that we're supposed to be.
Yeah. And how possible is that we can heal ourselves from any condition?
We can heal ourselves. We are designed to heal ourselves. Ask me again the first part of your question.
How possible is that we can heal ourselves?
How possible is it?
Under any condition, cancer, whatever.
Yes. So, most health conditions are a byproduct of some variation of what we're talking about right now. Whether they're genetically inherited or not. Science and epigenetics is teaching us that it doesn't even matter what your genetic inheritance was. You can transmute that. You can turn on some genes and turn them off. And we have the ability to do this by changing our consciousness. And the easiest way to change our consciousness is to ground our consciousness in the body and allow it to become organized, so that we can deal with one thing at a time rather than trying to respond in a chaotic manner. And so when we do organize and ground, what happens is we become available to elevate our energy, to create different chemistries in our body and heal. Chemistries that are uh, uh, eh, submitted into the body, secreted into the body from the glands that are generating them,
Mm.
or chemistries that are made available by proper digestion and assimilation, and chemistries that are generated by proper detoxification of the body. Collectively, all of these systems work better if our consciousness is in the body and allowing them to do their job the way it's supposed to be done. Our mind is a magnifier. It enhances whatever it lands on. We know that if we think about our problems, they get bigger. If we think about our appreciations, they get bigger. If we think inside our body starts to function more. So it enhances the proper function when we bring consciousness to how the body is running. And it also keeps us from doing things with our mind that shuts down proper chemistry and generates improper chemistry and shuts down digestion or interferes with our ability to metabolize and detoxify. And so we can heal ourselves, but we can't do it the way we've been living. We have to change how we're living, and then healing will start happening automatically. When we change how we're living, everything changes. When we come into our body, everything changes. When we bring our consciousness into the body, our chemistries change, our muscle contraction changes, our circulation changes, our ability to rest more easily changes, enhances, our vital force increases, everything just turns. And so if we've been living in a way that led to disease, if we change how we're living, that disease can shift. And we've been raised in cultures that think that disease happens from the outside in. But even a virus, for instance, can only attack an unhealthy cell. We have to already be in trouble in order to get a viral infection. We have to already be toxic and too acidic. We were already headed into trouble. And then the virus moves in, and then a virus has a byproduct of living in our system. And that byproduct becomes more toxic, which creates a strain for the body to try to detoxify itself and detoxify what the virus is doing. And so we exhaust. And when we exhaust, our immune system collapses, and boom, the next thing you know, we're super, super infected. So it's important that we realize that we can heal ourselves, but we have to create a different environment inside our bodies so that the cells can do what they're designed to do. Every cell in our body is designed to be floating in an alkaline environment, except inside the stomach. Every other cell functions best in an alkaline environment. And when we are acidifying ourselves through worry and fear and anxiousness, then we're setting ourselves up for disaster. So a bacteria, a fungus, a virus, none of them can attack a healthy cell and move in. They have to find a cell that they can live in. And that one is already in trouble. So we have to keep ourselves healthy all the time. And the way to do that is, there's certain things that we can do in our lifestyle. We can eat alkalizing foods. We can drink lots of fluids. We can drink a lot of warm fluids, hot fluids that allow our system to remain highly mobile. And we can also exercise every day, and we can learn to breathe properly, and we can get the right amount of rest. And most importantly, we can anchor our consciousness in the body, which allows us to stop worrying and fretting and angering, and we can become compassionate to ourselves because we're starting to pay attention to what we're feeling and just be present to that feeling instead of overriding it and projecting it onto something else. So it's an important time in human consciousness to learn how to use the faculties that we have in such a manner that it serves us and improves us, even when we're afraid, especially when we're afraid. We can use that to our advantage instead of it, taking us out of the game.
Yeah, yeah. In your book, you have the breath code. What is so important? The breath.
So spirit in the body is breath. You are spirit. We are spirit. We don't have a spirit. We are the spirit. We are a spiritual being coming in here and having a spiritual experience in a physical world. That's what's really going on. Okay. So in the body, spirit is breath. So breath is kind of important. In fact, if you don't understand what I'm saying, you could hold your breath for like 7 minutes and then you would not be in your body at all. And then you would completely understand what I'm talking about. So we don't want to have to go about it that way. But I just want to, impress that the breath is very important. It's very important. And so if we're not breathing into the body fully, like really, if we're just breathing in these upper lobes just enough to get by, which we do when we're anxious and caught in our heads and living in a stressful life, when that is happening, we are in this reactive state. When we learn to draw the breath deeper into the body and breathe fully in our whole system, everything starts to change because we start to activate and animate different parts of our whole system. Let me just show you another picture. I have another picture here, okay? So you see these different colors of this rainbow through this body. Each of those colors represent a different part of your consciousness, a different part of you, like the part of you that feels grounded and whole and complete. That would be the red one down here at the bottom. The part of you that is compassionate and loving and doesn't forget who it is when it's in relationship and isn't competitive, but is embracing and a team player, kind of a both and, interested in everybody winning. That's the orange. And the yellow is personal power. I know who I am regardless of what's going on out there. It's all good. I'm an eternal being. I've got this. That's the yellow right there, in case everybody's wondering. I need a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. The green is my ability to forgive and to be compassionate as well, and to be loving and to be self-loving and to allow everything to have heart and meaning in life. And the blue is my ability to manifest the things that I would love to have manifest in my life, to manifest myself here wholly and fully, to be the true me, to be authentic and to be free. The purple is us remembering that we are a multidimensional being, that we're not just these little creatures on earth trying to survive, that we are actually, I have another picture for you, that we are actually this, and we have a body. We are actually this spirit, higher self being that has a physical body here down on earth, and we're coming down through this vehicle and moving out into the world in an amazing way if we let ourselves. That's what's really going on. So when we learn to breathe in the body, we're activating all of these parts of us when we learn to breathe properly. If not, we're not doing any of that at all. We're just surviving. And we're here to much more than survive. We're here to thrive and to create and to collaborate and to joyously find all kinds of ways that we are innovative and coming up with different ideas and inventing things and playing together. That's why we're here. We're here to play together. But nobody taught us how to do that. In fact, when we were really good at doing that, we started getting in trouble for playing in the ways that we were playing when we were little. It was like, no, don't do that. Don't do this. Only behave this way. So we've shut down our imagination. We've shut down our joy. We've shut down our adventure. And it's so important that we allow these parts of us to remain true and free and available. And so learning to breathe I teach people in my coursework, which I'm offering online now because of all of our circumstances, but I teach people how to breathe into each one of these areas so that they can be awake in all of the parts of themselves, so that they can draw upon their wisdom and draw upon their power and draw upon their forgiveness and their joy and their sense of well-being and safety all the time, as well as their creativity and their ingenuity. A lot of us are having to come up with new ways to do things and think about, okay, well, life is looking like it's going to be a little different than I thought. So now let's figure it out. So we want people to be able to pursue that with a sense of adventure, not desperation. It's a very, very important time that we keep that energy alive. And that's what we're here. That's what we're here to do.
That's wonderful. You talk about something about devout, to be devout. What is that so important, to be devout?
To be devoted? What does it mean to be devoted? So what I'm talking about in all of our conversation today is is that we are more than just this separate self that has to survive. And when we connect with our devotion to God or to source or to nature or to possibility, or to ourselves and our authenticity, when I speak about devotion, I mean we have to decide that there's only one thing that's true, and that it is good, or that it is God, or that it is possibility, that there's something greater than the individual separate self that I can so easily think that I am. There's something greater that I'm a part of, that I, not apart from it, I'm a part of it. I am a part of it. I belong. And once we make that decision, our whole body and our whole life sets a course toward delivering that connectivity and manifesting that reality. And until I decide that, I'm manifesting a bunch of different kinds of realities. I have some realities that are flourishing, and other realities that are very uh, inadequate and lacking. Someone might be wealthy, but they don't have love, or somebody might be very loving, but they don't have wealth, or someone might be very conscientious, but they don't have their health, or somebody might be very healthy, but they have no friends. You know, I mean, there could be a lot of combinations there. And we're here to learn how to put all those pieces together so that we can have all of that. We can have our health and our conscientiousness, and we can have abundance, and we can have love, and then it can all be flourishing. But we have a decision to make. We have to decide something differently than we've been deciding. It has to be a more comprehensive decision, and it has to be a devoted decision. So I think of decision and discipline and dedication. Let me just say, decision and discipline are up here, but devotion brings the heart into the mix. And if we can bring devotion into our lives, everything changes. Because if I'm truly devoted to a reality where there's only one thing happening here, and it is good, and it's in support of me growing and evolving and belonging to a greater picture, and awakening to a greater version of myself. If I'm devoted to that as a reality, I'm going to interpret every single thing that happens in my life from that perspective. It has to fit into my reality. And my reality is I've decided that everything is good, that it's all happening for an amazing reason, and it's all going to wake me up, and it's all nudging me to figure out where I'm nudging myself out. Where have I been suppressing myself? Where have I not been believing in myself? In what ways do I throw myself under the bus and ignore myself or deny myself? In what ways am I not loving to myself? Life is constantly showing us those pieces of feedback. And if we are truly devoted to letting life show us that, we will respond in kind and wake it up or change it up and allow it. And that's the beautiful thing, is that all we have to do is just allow it to be loved, allow it to be good, allow it to be easier than I'm making it. I'm making it too hard. I got to chill out a little bit and open up and allow myself to receive divine guidance, divine presence, allow myself to belong, to connect. We can't connect when we're just in our heads. The heart is the connector. So devotion brings the heart connectivity to a decision of the mind, to an awareness of the mind. So when the mind and the heart are working together, we are in a different world than when we're just in our hearts or just in our heads. They need each other. We need our heads to help us navigate in the world, but we need our hearts to have it matter, to have it matter, right? To care. We need our hearts for it to be a loving, devotional world. So when we have communities that are so devoted and so very frightened right now, it really ignites me to say, you have the power to change the world. It is not a time to be afraid. It's a time to stand in your faith. It's a time to stand in what you you've always wanted to believe. Believe it now, and ground it in your body, and learn how to do that, so that the whole of your system is here to support your devotion. That your grounded strength in your root chakra can help make that devotion a reality, and your wisdom in your second chakra can help you find ways to be of service and to be innovative and to never forget, the truth of who you are, and so on. I could just go on forever, but
Wow, Dr. Sue, this is amazing. And thank you very much for all this information. Thank you for your knowledge. Thank you for your wisdom. It has been really, really beautiful. We have just a few minutes more. So can you tell us where can we find you?
oh, well, I'm everywhere.
I know.
Yeah. So, but I have a website that is drsuemorter.com, drsuemorter.com. It's morter.com. And you can also find me on YouTube. You could join my YouTube channel. I have all kinds of teachings there. You can come on my website. I have all kinds of products. I have a Facebook community. You're certainly welcome to join us there. Lots of teachings and lots of sharings everywhere. So I teach courses all across the country. I'm doing online courses now. I'm going to be doing an online course of the level 1 of my coursework. If you jump right in immediately, you can find out the details on how to sign up for that. And I'll be doing the level 2 of my coursework online as well. I'm just trying to make it as available as possible. Now that we're all kind of living a little differently these days.
Yes. Yes, and on the 25th, you will do something that is about the transmission.
A healing transmission?
Oh, yes, the healing transmission.
Yes. Yes, once a month, I'm doing a healing transmission where I'm, as a small teaching, a short teaching, to align everyone into the same congruency. And then I am working with high frequency energies and just trying to relay these energies into the group. We have thousands of people that join together at the same time, and it creates a coherence that is supportive to everyone that's plugging in. So it's for healing purposes and rejuvenating and anchoring in the body everything that is needed for vitality and immunity and creativity and ingenuity, all at the same time. Because I don't want people to just focus on healing, but it is a healing process that happens. I know that healing happens as a byproduct when you start to tap your true creative genius and remember who you really are as a loving, compassionate presence on the planet. When all of that comes together at the same time, healing is a natural byproduct of that. So on the 25th, in March, we'll be doing a healing transmission, and we do them every month. And you have to come to my website and sign up for it, or monthlyhealingtransmission.com will get you there. And you can find it either way, and join us for it's a beautiful hour that people all over the world are connecting in on.
That's right. Do you have this book in Spanish or not yet?
Yes.
Oh
yes,
my
yes.
gosh, we didn't know.
Just recently.
That's so
It's
cool.
published in Spanish. Yes.
That is so cool. But what I love most, that you have the resources also online that we can check how are we doing, you know?
Yes.
That's nice.
Yes.
I am very happy for this surprise.
Yes. It's in 14 languages now, and yes, so the Spanish version is ready to roll. Indeed. You just sent me a copy. I wish I had it right here, but I have it at my office. So
you know, I have read so many good books, but the truth that this book is really good, and it's not a. The information is very complicated, but you make it us to understand in a very easy way, and that is the most beautiful, the beauty of this book, that we can understand a topic that could be very complicated in an easy way, and I love it.
I wanted to take these complex ideas that science is showing us and make it user friendly, because if we can't use it, then it serve. I want people to be able to understand it, so I try to make it as simple as possible. Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, it's wonderful. Do you have a final message for us?
Yes, yes, yes. So, yes, I would just say that there's nothing wrong, there's nothing broken, there is nothing missing, there is nothing that you have to be afraid of. There is only wholeness here, and life on earth is so that we can find our wholeness. That's it. We come here to discover our wholeness. And so the more we can allow and the more that we can learn how to build the circuitry inside of our systems in such a fashion that wholeness can be perceived by the mind, um, the sooner we will recognize our true greatness, our magnificence here on the planet. And so I'm devoted to teaching people how to do exactly that. And I know that as we each learn just a little bit of it, we become more and more a true expression of the truth of who we are. And a byproduct of that is we share love all the time, and we heal. And so there's nothing broken, nothing missing, nothing wrong. You are whole and complete as you are. And I'm here in service to help you discover more and more of your true magnificence in any way possible. So just let me know how I might be of service.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Sue. It has been a
Absolutely.
pleasure to have you here.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for what you're doing to bring this to your community. I'm thrilled about that. So I'm happy to return sometime and speak again if that's of service as well.
Yes, please. Thank you so much.
Okay.